Summer's here and it's officially the season of wellness. For me, that means feeling energized, focused, and confident. And Symbiotica has become a key part of my routine. I take their magnesium L-threonate and liposomal glutathione every morning. It's an easy ritual that gives me sustained energy and focus all day long. Every formula is science-backed and highly absorbable, so I know I'm actually getting what my body needs. Go to Symbiotica.com and use code IHEART to get 20% off your order. That's Symbiotica.com and code IHEART for 20% off today.
Hello to everybody who needs to lose the phone case. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. If you don't love a long intro, I get it. I do want to warn you, the first few minutes of today's call have some really severe audio issues. Keep pushing through that. You'll get to the good stuff. If you want to skip the intro, you're going to want to skip about 5.5 minutes ahead. That'll put you right towards the beginning of the phone call. Hi, everybody. My name's Chris Gethard, and it's such a joy to be here, bringing you another episode of Beautiful Anonymous, the show where we look at the human condition, one anonymous phone call at a time, often imitated, but they can't do what we do. They don't have this 9-year legacy. They don't have this commitment to the ethics of this thing and the occasional wildness of this thing. Before I tell you about this phone call today, I want to let you know that we are just about sold out of the color copies of the Beautiful Anonymous magazine. Thanks to everybody who's been buying them at chrisgethard.bigcartel.com. And by the time you hear this, they might be gone. And thanks to everybody who's been getting them. Also, want to just remind everybody, August 7th, I'm doing a really big show in Jersey City, New Jersey. New Yorkers, take the PATH train. Jersey, show up. It's going to be a comedy party. Everything I'm brainstorming for this show is lovably crazy in such a good way. We're throwing a big time summer comedy party, Jersey style. Come on out. punchup.live/Chris Gethard for the tickets. Anyway, that's all the plugs. I want to keep the plugs quick on this one. This week's phone call, I'm going to warn you, the first 10 minutes, the audio is really bad. Very frustrating. Information is slipping through. You'll hear me fighting a really uphill battle to kind of keep all the information in place. Andrea's doing her best to clean that up. We probably will also shorten it, but just bear with it because this is a really great phone call, and I'm glad that we took the time to solve the audio issues. So you'll hear those audio issues. You might even sense that we paused a couple times to try to solve them. When we finally did, this call really hit a high gear. Apologies for things at the beginning. As I was saying, other shows can't imitate what we do, but part of that is because we know sometimes we're going to be rolling with punches like this one, and it is what it is. And we're willing to do that for the sake of giving people full access, for the sake of keeping situations honest. We're not trying to gatekeep too hard. We want anybody to come in. Sometimes that means that the technology catches up with us. We solved it. It was a phone case issue. It's a great call. I am struck by the fact that last week we heard from parents, primarily a mom of a 6-week-old. This week, very randomly, we hear from the mom of a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. We talk a lot about 6-year-old. This mom is raising a kid who's neurodivergent, and that has taken on some different forms. And the diagnosis keeps shifting and expanding. And this mom talks really, really honestly about where she finds the motivation to keep pushing as hard as she does, how she takes care of herself, how she takes care of the people around her, what she's learned. And there's some real frustration in there. And I say it in the course of the phone call, but for anybody listening, so many parents listen to this show, and I think we would all agree. I know where I'm at with one kid without these diagnoses. And I go, I have been so exhausted by the process of being a parent to a young one. I can't imagine if there was just so many more layers that I needed to think about and account for every moment of every day of being a parent. I think this caller does a really good job of never coming off as complaining, but really in a way that is not high-handed or from a soapbox. It just becomes clear. Here's what my experience is like. Here's my sense of what my kids' experience is like. It's real. It's raw. It's honest. We are, of course, living in a world where it's hard to be a parent. It's hard to navigate systems. It's hard to know where the moving goalposts are as far as the powers that be and their ability and willingness to help people who need help right now. This mom's right in the middle of all of it. And at the end of the day, it's a really good mom. That's what I'm struck by the most. I really loved this call. I think you will too. And I think back to back with last week, it's serendipitous. We've had a few parenting themed calls, but they look at it from really different angles, really different life experiences, really different emotional platforms, foundations, however you want to phrase it. Either way, I really like this one. You will too. Push through the first few minutes. They're choppy. It clicks into place audio-wise, and you're going to love it.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. It was eerily quiet after the beep. I thought I got hung up on.
No, I was just laying in wait like a predator waiting for my prey.
Okay, that makes me feel at ease after hearing you in the recording. Like, don't be nervous 2 times, which made me even more nervous.
I was just kidding, I promise. I promise. I instantly
I know.
felt bad at your reaction to that.
No, it's so funny because I called and I wasn't nervous. And then in the recording you say, don't be nervous. And that instantly made me nervous.
You're all good. So
Okay.
What's up?
That's good. It's funny. I give Andrea 2 topics to talk about. I think she really likes the second one, so I'm going to talk about that.
What was that?
So I'm a mom of 2 boys. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. Just turned 3, the little one. The 6-year-old is he's neurodiverse. He has autism, and so he really didn't speak up until maybe like a year ago. And now that he is speaking, he is communicating his feelings a lot more. And we're discovering that this whole time that he was very quiet and just kind of went with the flow with all of the things that we love, he was actually participating in things he probably wasn't enjoying at all. And, he's got depression. And so now I have a 6-year-old at home who is autistic and a little bit depressed. And that has been the biggest curveball I've had as a parent. I was definitely not expecting this, obviously, and we're very worried about him. He's in therapy, doing all the things, but it's just a little bit of insane to know that you have a 6-year-old that has depression. A 6-year-old with depression is kind of a lot. And I've dealt with depression. I had postpartum depression, and I've had depression at other times in my life, but this is just, I don't know, it's like another level. I don't even know where to begin with that. And so I thought that would be fun for us to talk about. What do you think?
I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. I'm so sorry. It's scary. Really, I know, scary.
I feel like, definitely scary. I will say that scary is a good feeling. But I'm a problem solver, so I'm always like, okay, this is the challenge. We've identified it. Let's tackle it. I started realizing that he was having a lot of anxiety with just in social situations, and I figured, I'm like, this is an autism thing, and so I put him in psych therapy just to put him there. And right before he started that, like, he just went into the spiral that was just, it was heartbreaking to see.
Caller, I'm so sorry. Hold on one second, caller. I'm so sorry. Are you on your car, like speaking through the car, and not, can we try straight through the phone? It's just very hard to understand.
Oh no. Hold on. Let me try. It's just my phone microphone is broken, but let me try one more setting, see if it works.
Hold on one second, caller. I'm going to pause the clock. Andrea, can you jump? Is it just me? It's very, very hard to understand.
Do you guys want to hold for a second? I'll just remove the phone out of the case. Maybe it's my phone case.
Let's see what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's just really tough to hear you. I'm so sorry, caller.
All right. This is phone out of the case.
Oh, that's a lot better.
Is that better?
So much better.
That's what it was. It was my phone case.
I'll start the clock again, and then I'll ask a question, and we can edit it all together. I mean, it's to hear you say that you're, simultaneously proud of the language abilities being displayed, but then heartbroken by what they are telling you it's just, as a fellow parent of a 6-year-old, I sit here and go, ooh, that is killer. I do have a question right away, which is, and it's also really tough because we're speaking about neurodivergence, which you can speak to, but how do you know when it's diagnosable and using the term depression versus every kid out there who explores their feelings and expresses them sometimes in ways that go really big as they figure it out? How do you know where and when that line is? Because that's something I think every parent out there will want to hear.
I think the biggest thing is his therapist, right? She really helped us just kind of determine that that's what was happening, because it was just a series of things. Like, oh, okay, the way he experiences the world is different, right? So he's going to have anxiety about social situations, about, I don't know, XYZ, like all these things in his life are going to be different. But the way he is reflecting everything back to himself, she kind of attributed more towards depression. And the thing is that autism is a comorbidity for every mental illness, it seems like. She said autistic people are more likely to be anxious, more likely to be depressed, more likely to be everything. So it was kind of a given, and it was easy for us to see the difference. It's also been interesting for us to see how, like, the milestones that we focus on as parents of autistic children are so important. And then we see children who are older than him, or maybe even, his same age, that haven't met those milestones. And in our minds, we felt like failures because he wasn't meeting that milestone. And then we see it reflected in another kid, and we're like, oh, hey, it's actually normal that he doesn't know how to lose very well. Kind of, that's one of the things for them. But it's not normal that he doesn't know how to lose very well and sees the loss as like a complete failure of his existence. So that's kind of where we're able to, like, tell the difference between one and the other.
I have so many questions, and again, we have kids the same age, so it's making my heart bleed. But the first thing I want to ask is, how do you take care of yourself as a parent in this? I want to know about, and I know it might be sort of asking you to focus on the selfish side while knowing you're a parent who's clearly thinking so hard about this. You're a selfless person. You're giving it your all. I want to ask, how are you making sure that you are okay?
Therapy. I mean, all of us are in therapy. It's not possible for you to deal with something this big without therapy, I think. 1, 2, I sometimes I don't, and I'm burnt out, and I have meltdowns myself. But I think therapy has taught me a lot to see these moments as, like, they're teaching moments, right? So it's like, okay, mom had a meltdown or like an exhaustion kind of moment. Like, what does that mean? How do I communicate that to the kids, right? And to explain to them that I also get tired and I also lose my patience. And then I get lots of just like me time. It's a lot of watching RuPaul's Drag Race, like just on my own, eating, cookie dough ice cream. And it's like, I just need one night a week where I just get to sit down. I don't even work out, because it used to be that working out and running would help me. But now I don't, like, I'm just so tired. I don't have time to get up at 5 and go running. So yeah, sometimes just sitting down, watching RuPaul's Drag Race and laughing at a drag queen, with a fun name, and eating cookie dough ice cream. That's like, cool. Okay, I'm ready. Reset next day, and we'll see what happens.
I have to say, hearing you detail what it's like to just be in over your head as a parent, absolutely going where the winds blow you, rolling with punches, figuring life out, in therapy, allowing yourself the grace to know that sometimes you're going to have a meltdown too. I have to say, in the unlikely event that RuPaul ever hears this, do you know how happy RuPaul's going to be to hear that Drag Race is what you do when you've hit your breaking point? When you need to veg out and just regain some of your mojo? Do you know how happy that would make RuPaul as an artist?
I don't know how happy it would make them, but I can tell you that person has saved a lot of lives, like not just mine, but like other people. The countless of drag queens that have been in the show, just inspired people. So like, I don't know if they know this, but they certainly have saved lives for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, got a little emotional there.
You're not the only one who gets a little emotional when you think about RuPaul. There's no way. No way.
Yeah, it just makes me happy, like, honestly.
That's good. Now, in the first few minutes, we were having some audio difficulties. They've corrected. Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure I'm clear. You said you have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And
yes,
your 6-year-old's neurodivergent with depression issues on top of it. How's your 3-year-old doing?
So it's so funny because we were with our 6-year-old. He was our first kid, so we didn't know. He was born in 2019, 2020. He turned 1, so we didn't really know if like it was speech delay or he just wasn't around other kids because of the pandemic. Like it was literally. But we put him in speech therapy anyway, and that's how we started that journey. With our 3-year-old, we were kind of already on alert for this, so. He took a little longer to walk, and by a little longer, I literally mean like, I don't know, he walked at like 13 months instead of 12 months, which they say any time between 12 and 15 is normal. But like at 12 months, he wasn't even interested in walking, so I was already paranoid. I was like, no, this is happening. We need to put him in all the programs, all the things. And it turns out he didn't have anything. He was just a really cautious kid. That was it. But he's a little chatterbox. It's been illuminating to have him around because he also teaches his brother a lot. He has a lot of conversations with him, which is kind of fun. Like now our 6-year-old has someone to talk to that's, a kid, and it's been great. He's a funny kid. He's super bossy. He demands everything his own way. But it's definitely been different, right? Because he's been very vocal about what he wants to do, what he likes since he's 2, whereas our 6-year-old started at around 4 when he wanted to like really tell us what he wanted and what he liked and what he didn't like.
That's really, in some ways, a very sweet thing to think about, that your little one is just connecting with their older sibling in the way that all younger siblings want to do, and doesn't even realize what an asset and what, like, how important it is. Has no idea.
Yeah.
But is in there doing it.
Oh no. And we actually signed him up. So there's a pre-K 3 program here where they need neurotypical kids to be around neurodivergent kids to be models, right? Because that's really important for neurodivergent kids. And I signed him up. I was like, let's see if they accept him. I don't know. Obviously you never know if your kid's at that level. And when he went for the trial, in the classroom. I saw the teacher come out, and she came out with 2 other kids. They were like, you know what? They're too little. They're not mature enough. They're not ready to handle this. And those kids were a little older than him or around his age. And I was like, oh man, he's not going to make it. But you know what? We tried, and that's great. And then she came out and she's like, he would be a great role model. And I was so proud of him because he's doing that for his brother. And I didn't think that it was like, that it was such a good example. And so it was so good. But now he's going to help other kids too. And he doesn't know it. He's only 3, but I'm so proud of him.
Let's pause on that very triumphant note. We're going to have a few ads. We'll be right back. Right now, the headlines are chock full of data breaches and regulatory rollbacks. Makes us all vulnerable, but you can do something about it. Delete Me is here to make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online. I can't stress enough how important this is, and I have felt it in my personal life. Delete Me knows that your privacy is valuable and worth protecting. You can sign up right now. You go ahead, you provide Delete Me with exactly what info you want deleted. Their experts get to work. It's not just a one-time service. They're always out there working for you at Delete Me, constantly monitoring, removing the personal info you don't want floating out there for public consumption on the internet. It's vitally important. I have a very active online presence. People, I think if you've been hearing these ads, have picked up on the fact I've personally run into some situations that left me a little shaken, left me a little scared, left me in a situation where I said, I need to see what's out there on me. And I will tell you, Delete Me continuously puts in the work, gets data out of there, and I feel safer. I feel like my family is safer. I can't stress enough how real this is for me. And if you poke around just a little bit and you see the way these data brokers, it's really insidious stuff. They're out there. They're trying to do what they do. And Delete Me makes it so much easier to take action and try to avoid all the nonsense and schemes and personal info that people are trying to make money off of right now. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private. Sign up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter the code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code is beautiful. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack sponsor. IQ Bar is the better for you, plant protein-based snacks made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. IQ Bar's plant protein bars are packed with high-quality ingredients to help keep you physically and mentally fit. IQ Bar products are free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners for a natural, anytime snack. They have great flavors. They also have over 20,000 five-star reviews and counting. More people than ever are starting their days on the right foot with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. I eat an IQ Bar for breakfast legitimately every day. If I have IQ Bars in the house, that is my first meal of the day. If I don't have them, I'm ordering more. This is me. Personally, I have told you many, many times that my wife is completely obsessed with the mushroom coffee, as she calls them, coffee sticks. The official name is IQ Joe. And especially now the summer is here, I'm outside, I'm sweating more than I want to be. It's hard. It's hard to stay on top of that water consumption, and that IQ mix, that hydration mix does the trick. It helps me feel like I'm staying ahead of the curve, especially as we're hitting the dog days of summer. I just can't speak highly enough to the IQ Bar product. And I'll tell you, I was just thinking this morning about how a lot of things in the sort of realm of an IQ Bar taste bad, but I ate mine this morning. I was like, it just is easy to go back to because it legitimately is a good, quick breakfast, but it also tastes good. And not everybody meets that bar. And IQ Bar is setting it. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. That's texting BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. BEAUTIFUL to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Thanks to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call.
He doesn't know it. He's only 3, but I'm so proud of him.
It's cool. That's so cool. And to hear you get choked up with that pride is really hard to hear, but also really beautiful to hear. I'll ask a hard question, but a question that I think, and a question that might be a bit of a faux pas, but I just want to ask it. And I bet a lot of parents who have multiple kids, one of whom demands extra attention, run into this is, I'm sure when you think of the little one, you go, okay, like life is what it is. And things happen. Can't predict. You hear that the little one is already helping his older sibling. It's beautiful. You must also have some moments as parents where you go, how do we also make sure that this is not the defining quality of both of our kids' lives, or the defining aspect rather, of both of our kids' lives? Like, how do you make sure that the gravity of depression, of neurodivergence gets all the attention and care it needs, while also carving out space that for your younger kid and for you and your husband, that this isn't defining?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. We try to be really fair, right? It's interesting because I feel like when you're raising a neurodivergent kid, you're being taught that all these things are milestones, right? So a lot of that we just kind of applied in our parenting as a whole, right? So one of the things is we always did kind of what our older child wanted to do. We love going to theme parks, for example. Whatever ride we did next was whatever he wanted to do. But now, we have a little guy too, who also has his own likes and his own needs and rides that he wants to do. And so we'll kind of take turns. Taking turn is a big thing in our house. Like tonight is our turn for this. Another night is our turn for that. One of the reasons we didn't realize we were making this depression worse for our older child is because I was doing a lot of things that the little one needed. And because we weren't taking turns, he started feeling rejected. And then we realized, oh no, we need to apply the taking turns thing to everything in our lives. And so then it's great because everyone in our household knows that there's a moment where we get to pick. We have a movie night a week and we take turns picking the movie. If we are going to go out to eat, we take turns picking where we want to eat. Now, our neurodivergent child eats 4 things because he also has ARFID on top of this. So we usually just take food, whatever he wants, but he gets to pick a restaurant. If there is a restaurant with something that he likes to eat, we'll pick that. And it's a big part of it, right? And then other things where we can't take turns, we try to be as fair as possible. So like saving for college, we're saving for everyone equally. We're not sure whether or not our neurodivergent child is going to need like a caretaker or maybe someone, a companion, but we definitely don't want to put that on our youngest son. So we're preparing for that as well. Just little things like that. But yeah, we definitely don't want it to be all consuming. And we do let the kids take the wheel a little bit when it comes to certain things. Like if we made a big plan as a family, or the boys, because they're all boys in my family, I'm the only girl with our dog, who's also I said her name. I shouldn't have said her name.
Oh, we'll bleep
she's a dog.
We'll
She'll be okay. Yeah. She's the only other girl. And so then if there's a boys' night and it turns out that, you know, one of them isn't up for the boys' night and wants to just hang back with mom, then we'll let that happen, you know, and it's just kind of those things. But we don't stop the fun, right? If we have plans or the boys had plans and they were going to do this thing and one kid is excited about it and the other kid absolutely doesn't want to do it, then fine, don't do it. Kid that wants to go and have fun and is, you know, ready to head out the door, go for it. We're not going to stop the fun for that reason. We will attend to the child that has their needs or the moment or the breakdown or whatever it is at that moment. We'll just split it, you know, and be like, okay, one is with one is with the other one. That's probably the reason why we're not having a third child, because 2 is enough. We can only split in 2. We're 2 people. And that's it. I mean, that's kind of how we deal with it and make sure that everyone has their needs filled. I think being responsible about our own mental health as well is important, you know, and kids are really honest. You know, there was a time where our oldest started saying things like, I don't like it when, you know, when people get angry, or I don't want to be like he said it one time. He's like, I don't want to be like dad. I don't want to grow up and be like dad. And so that was kind of shocking for my husband to hear. But then he realized it's because, you know, my husband was being a little bit of a spitfire with certain things that were happening around the house. And so that was a time where, you know, he was a little self-reflective and said, he's like, all right, I think I need to go to therapy. I need better coping skills here, because this is affecting our children. And so I think that's the thing, taking turns, being as fair as possible, and then, you know, not stopping the fun just because one thing happens. We just got to keep rolling with punches.
I'm going to go ahead and say something very basic, but I want to say it out loud. You're a good mom.
Okay.
You're a good mom.
Oh.
I hope you hear that. I hope you hear that on a regular basis. It's hard to be a parent. It's really hard. It's hard when it's hard when it's a playing field that's leveled, and there's some fingers on the scales where you've been throwing some curveballs that you never saw coming. And just hearing how you've thought about this so thoroughly, and hearing about the honesty with which you're handling it, also hearing the frustration in your voice, but also hearing that you're so aware of that frustration. I just sit there, I go, you're good. You're good at this. It's really hard. And there's probably so many days where it feels so unfair, but you're good at it. And you must be so fucking tired.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how tired you are. But I just want you to know
exhausted at all times. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm tired, and then I'm just falling asleep all over the place. And then I'm like, is it? And in my mind too, I'm like, am I depressed again, or am I just tired? Like, what's going on? I'm confused. But then that's when I kind of wave the flag, and I'm like, hey, I need to take a nap. Can someone just let me take a nap? And then we'll figure out what happens after I have like 20, 30 minutes, like, to myself asleep. And that's kind of how I handle it.
I can't imagine. I'm glad you could ask for that nap time. You deserve that nap time. What was that beep? I heard a weird beep.
Yeah, it's just my car beeping, because there's cars around me, and anytime a car is around me, it thinks I'm gonna hit the car, and I'm not.
I'll tell you.
My car has a lot of beeps too, because it's a hybrid car, and I guess hybrid cars beep.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. I tell you, I have a 6-year-old. I don't have a 3-year-old. I have it in many ways so much easier than Hallie. I am so exhausted, and our son, just ARFID alone. You said ARFID. That's the one where the kids legitimately medically refuse to eat most things. Just if a kid had ARFID.
Oh yeah.
And that's like that's like the fourth thing you told. That's not even like right at the top of your priority list. There's bigger fish to fry. Just that alone of like, oh, you'll only eat lukewarm chicken with no breading. That's the only thing you'll ever eat. Like, just that right there would send most people over the edge.
I would be ecstatic if he ate chicken. He doesn't eat chicken. He doesn't eat any meat. ARFID is so funny, because I discovered what ARFID was later, and then I realized, oh, that's what's happening here. Like, he literally eats less than 10 things. Like, this is not right. And I remember our pediatrician, we had a different pediatrician before. I was like, well, just don't like when he gets hungry, he'll eat. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to test it out. So for a whole month, all he did was drink milk. And I was like, okay, pediatrician, I don't care that you think he's growing fine and there's no concerns. This is not normal. And, you know, we switched pediatricians at that point. And, you know, the other pediatrician was like, okay, look, he's already, and that's another thing too, like he's already doing so many therapies. So like feeding therapy on top of it all would have been so much. It would be so much now. So we've just kind of decided to not be crazy about it for a little bit and see where things go. And then he is taking his multivitamin. Thankfully, we got him there. It took us 3 months of like getting him to take this multivitamin. And we're just not going to stress about it for now. But yeah, it's crazy. And then you have all these medical professionals.
What are the things he eats? I'm sure you know off the top of your head.
He eats cheese. Yeah. He eats grilled cheese sandwiches, peanut butter sandwiches, quesadilla with cheese only, mac and cheese, only a certain kind. It has to be white and it has to be from a certain brand. Like it's particular, like on his mac and cheese. So, which is frustrating because most restaurants have it and it's not the kind that he likes. He eats mac and cheese. He eats, for snacks, he'll have chips, popcorn, bananas, and then these like green bean chips and plantain chips. And then for breakfast, he'll eat breakfast cookies, like with a bunch of stuff in them, but only a certain flavor. And then he'll also eat this like pastry thing from my country that we make for breakfast. My family's from South America, and that's it. That's all he'll eat. He used to eat pesto pasta, and there we would sneak vegetables in there because pesto is green. He stopped eating that. Yesterday I got him to eat it and I was so happy. I almost cried. But I didn't. I just acted normal because if you get too excited, it might turn him off again. So hopefully he'll start eating that again. And eggs. He used to eat eggs too. And then we went to a restaurant and they gave him a runny egg and he stopped eating eggs forever. And I am so mad at that restaurant.
It's wild. It's a broader list than I assumed. When you've said 4 things, you were exaggerating. There's like 9, but still I go to hear that if he eats pesto pasta again, you have to hold back from crying because the emotion of you seeing pesto pasta legitimately makes you emotional when he eats it. But if he senses your emotion, he might then equate it with something that has created an emotional reaction that needs to be regulated, and therefore we don't eat pesto pasta anymore. I go, yeah, that's a whole other level. That's a whole other level to eating that I don't want to imagine. And the fact that this is the palate of this child, and you still let the child pick the restaurant once in a while is saintly, because you can always find a grilled cheese or a cheese quesadilla. The fact that you're so close with mac and cheese, that's killer, right? Because every restaurant has mac and cheese on the kids' menu, but none of them have the mac and cheese you need, which is so maddening.
Yeah.
But the fact that kid still gets to pick a restaurant sometime, that when you are all grown up and everybody is through figuring out the infrastructure of this and maybe things settle a bit, I have a feeling even your 6-year-old someday, many years down the line, might go, you and dad still let me pick a restaurant when I had no right to pick the restaurant. The fact that you're just going to get a cheese quesadilla and you still get to pick the place is so giving and so kind. That's so kind.
Yeah. Well, look, we went to this Spanish restaurant because he liked his grilled cheese with like manchego cheese sometimes. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, look, this restaurant, they have the kind of cheese you like. We got so excited. We ordered this grilled cheese and it also had goat cheese in it.
Done.
And he did not eat the grilled cheese. It was so, like, it made all of us so angry at the table. I was like, oh no, I should have told the waitress, do not put any other cheese that is not manchego cheese. But I didn't know because it just said grilled cheese in the menu. And I asked, hey, do you use manchego cheese? They said yes. So I was like, okay, I assumed it's just the manchego cheese, grilled cheese. No, it also has goat cheese, which is the wrong kind of cheese.
Listen, though, I'm with you of like, should you have asked? Maybe, but I'll also say this. If you're ordering grilled cheese for a kid, you don't put goat cheese on it. You know, what kind of fancy pants restaurant is this? A little kid's ordering grilled cheese. Grill up some cheese. Grill up some cheese and stop trying to be too fancy here. You're playing with a minefield. What are you doing here? We're creating a situation that no kids like goat cheese. What are you talking about? Don't do it. But yes, that sounds like a pain. Now, is it just a matter then that your kid might not eat and then the whole night has this clock on it because you're going to have to deal with hunger, blood sugar, the crash of that? You're already out. Now you've got to scramble and go find someplace that sells a very plain quesadilla when maybe you were all ready to move on with the night? Or is there a chance that there's going to be like a tantrum right there at the table?
So we don't chance it. We always have peanut butter sandwiches with us at all times. And we've discovered that they sell peanut butter in little packets. So we literally just take 2 slices of bread with us and a packet of peanut butter with us everywhere we go. It doesn't matter. Like, even if he picked the restaurant and we know he's going to eat something there, we will just take it because we're not going to take chances. Because that could be the day that, I don't know, they like an onion slips into the quesadilla and he decides he's not going to eat that quesadilla. It has happened to us before. And so we don't chance it. We're like, nope, peanut butter sandwich is coming with us. And so when we realize that there's an issue with the thing he ordered, we'll just go to our backup. We know better than that. There were times where we did make those mistakes, and then often he would replace whatever he was eating with just ordering more milk at whatever restaurant we were at. But, we know better now at this point. We've been doing this for a couple of years, so we just have our peanut butter backup always.
There is something so sweet and adorable about the idea that you just always have the disassembled ingredients of a peanut butter sandwich in your bag. There's something so sweet and so heartbreaking about it. And I have to imagine anytime you're at a restaurant where you're paying for an item and then all of a sudden you realize like, oh, nope, they put pepper on it. Let me make the goddamn peanut butter sandwich. It sounds like must be a moment of just like taking a deep breath, and you feel a little defeated, but it also sounds like you figured out a way that you can still eat in a restaurant and have that night as a family. Again, kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because at this point, like, we don't mind it anymore. Like, we're like, all right, we wasted $14 or whatever it is on his thing. What does bother me, though, is sometimes, like, usually the people that work at a restaurant don't mind, but like, I do see other patrons sometimes staring. I have heard a mom on the other, from another table say like, oh, some people just don't teach their kids how to eat. And I think the amount of self-control it takes for me not to turn around and just lose it on that person is not human. I don't know how I have it. I don't know how I haven't lost my mind, but I'm sure I'm going to go viral on TikTok one day because I am just berating someone for saying something stupid like that about my kid at a restaurant.
I bet. I once,
Oh, and I will say, July 5th is like ARFID Awareness Day or something. So, yeah, this is kind of timely that we're having this conversation right now.
Look at that. That will actually have passed by the time we put this out. This wasn't even my son. Many years ago, I almost got in a fight at a restaurant with someone who said something about a friend's kid. And it was not good. And like, it doesn't come out too much on Beautiful Anonymous, but there is a side of me that can be crazy. Like, it's something I've worked really hard on, but also I grew up with a lot of anger. I was a bullied kid. I had to learn how to fight. I don't like that. I don't say that with pride. In my 40s, I think it's pretty dark. But I was once in a restaurant with a friend's kid, and the kid threw a tantrum. And when his mom finally took him out, a guy the next table over turned to his family and was like, finally, she took that little shit out of here. And I waited until after we paid our check and told my wife that I needed to use the bathroom. And then I approached this man and his whole family. And he stopped and looked at me, and I was like, I heard what you said about like, they got that little shit out of there. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I just want you to know, you're like talking shit about a 5-year-old child. What's wrong with you? You're a grown up talking shit about a kid. What the hell is wrong with you? In front of his family, which could have started a fight. And he didn't apologize. It didn't end with anything more than me like staring at him like a maniac and walking away. But there's probably moments where you want to do that every day. Oh,
all the time. All the time. People like, I when we're at parks and people just like, I don't know, judge my, you know, whatever. Cause, you know, he still doesn't know sometimes that when you ask for something, you have to wait for the person to respond yes or no. And then you have to accept that answer. And then that's how you behave accordingly, right? So if a kid is playing with a ball and you want to play with the ball, you say, hey, can I play with you? And then if the child says yes, then you play. And if the child says no, you kind of have to walk away, right? So sometimes my son doesn't really get that right. So he'll ask the question and say, he doesn't care what the answer is. He'll just play with the ball. And yeah, the amount of times that people just say, oh, well, he doesn't know how to behave or this is that. And like, now he's 6, right? So people expect him to act a certain way because he looks older. When he was younger, it was like, okay, fine, he's a little toddler, who cares? But now that he's older, and yeah, often all the time, where kids will say things to him like, stay away from us, stop. And he has echolalia, so he repeats sometimes phrases like that. And then they just go on him. They pick on him. And like, it's another reason why I kind of accepted this diagnosis of depression is because, yeah, of course, I see people pick on you. Like, I see what life is like for you, and it's really hard, and I understand. And yeah, no, the amount of times I just want to lose it on parents, on sometimes other kids. I mean, other kids I have to kind of like snap out of it and say, all right, this is another 6-year-old that is also unequipped to deal with this, as I am unequipped to deal with this as a parent. So yeah, it's hard, but I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm like, I've accepted that it's going to happen, and I know I'm going to, if someone's recording it, I'm going to go viral because I'm sure I'm going to say something horrible and I'll be embarrassed, but it'll be fine because at the end of the day, I'll have the solace that I was defending my kid, and that's all I'm supposed to do as a mom.
Let's pause right there. I'm going to be honest. In the beginning, I was very worried about this call based on the quality. Now I'm loving this call in ways I can't describe. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Summer's here, and it's officially the season of wellness. For me, that means feeling energized, focused, and confident. And Symbiotica has become a key part of my routine. I take their magnesium L-threonate and liposomal glutathione every morning. It's an easy ritual that gives me sustained energy and focus all day long. Every formula is science-backed and highly absorbable, so I know I'm actually getting what my body needs. Go to Symbiotica.com and use code IHEART to get 20% off your order. That's Symbiotica.com and code IHEART for 20% off today.
Thanks again to everybody who sponsors Beautiful Anonymous. Now let's finish off the phone call.
At the end of the day, I'll have the solace that I was defending my kid, and that's all I'm supposed to do as a mom.
What a mom. Now, can I ask you a hard question?
Go ahead.
Well, for example, depression, I know that there's a wide range of what that means. I have less personal experience with autism, but my understanding is there's a wide range of what it means. Neurodivergence can refer to a lot of different things. And hearing you, even back there, saying, I understand it's so heartbreaking to hear how offhanded it is for you to say, I accept this depression diagnosis because I see what life is like for you. That's a hard thing to hear a mom say about her son, but you've accepted it. But I'm wondering if doctors, therapists, whomever is giving you a sense of, okay, here's where things are at when your son is 6, but by the time your son is 12 or 18 or 24, it could be like this. I'm wondering if you've gotten a sense of if they're saying this is something that can evolve, this is something that can be regulated, this is something that can be grown out of, or is this something that you expect to stay at the level it's at? Have you had those conversations yet?
We have a wonderful neurologist, and I will say he honestly came to us at a time where we didn't know what was going on, and we were sent to him by our speech therapist and said, you know what, we don't know what this is, but I know if you talk to a neurologist, he'll open doors for you. And he's really good at grounding us, because every time I go to any doctor's appointment, I'm like, okay, well, he's met this milestone, this is happening, this is still not happening. And he's always like, calm down. These things that you're asking him or you're expecting him to do are actually really hard to do. And we don't know what's going to happen. Like, let's just keep going. Like, are we better now than we were at our 6-month appointment 6 months ago? If the answer is yes, then we're on the right track. Let's just keep going. And then we don't know how far he'll go, but we'll take him as far as we can. And that's kind of the way I've accepted it, right? There are a ton of moms. I'm in the support group for moms of kids that are autistic, that their children have higher support needs than mine. Some need AAC devices to speak. Some have other disabilities that prevent them from speaking in addition to autism. And I know my child is not there. I don't know if he's going to revert back. But I know that whatever level autism he's at now, it's not permanent. These things fluctuate. He might really struggle when he becomes a teenager, because the social thing is what he really has a harder time. And I know that teenagers, that's a huge part of their development. Or he might not. He might actually figure it out by then and go, but the answer to everything is that I don't know. And seeing our neurologist every 6 months, and who snaps me out of like my meeting milestones, we have to do this, we have to do that, and puts me back into like, hey, we're progressing here. You know, like when you started with me, your child was barely speaking. Now he speaks. Now he tells you what he wants. Now he's independent. He kind of dresses himself. He helps, he does little chores around the house. Like, these are things that they weren't even in my radar when I started going to see him, and they're happening. And so it's good to have that. But the answer is, I don't know. I said this when I married my husband too. Like, when I married my husband, I told him, here's the thing. I am marrying you for who you are now. And I have to accept the fact that you may or may not grow. And I have to take you with your worst thing. Like, can I deal with the worst parts of you for the rest of my life? And because my answer is yes, that's why I'm marrying you. Because I'm literally committed to that. And it's the same with my kids, right? You don't get to pick your kids. I guess you would if you adopted your kids, but I didn't get to pick my kid. My kid came as he went. And I don't have, there's nothing I can gain by just dwelling and, I don't know, trying to fix him or change him. Like, I just have to accept that this is who he is, and this is how we have to operate moving forward. And it doesn't matter. Am I going to take him as far as he can go and support him as much as we can? Of course. But I am not going to just sit and hope for something better, because I don't know if that's going to come. And if I'm just going to waste time hoping for something that never happened,
Okay. You're the fucking best. You're the best.
No.
Yeah.
No, I feel like that's how every parent should be. Like, our kids come as they come. If your kid is LGBT, if your kid is trans, if your kids, that's who they are. Like, you don't get to pick that, And so then it's like, how are you going to support your kid? Because, and I will say this, like, no child chooses to come into this world. So once they're here, your job as a parent is to support them, help them thrive, get them to adulthood to be, as productive and as contributing as they can, and independent. And that's it, but then you don't get to pick anything else. And I say the same about autism. And I know, and this I will say, this is a soapbox I'm going to stand on. I hate the idea that autism is something to be fixed, is something to be cured. No, this is just a different way of being a human. And it's tricky. And, in the past, we just call these people quirky, and we let, people eat the same lunch every day and be super interested in insects. And we thought, oh, that person's just a great biologist or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that autism has always been here. Autism is not something to be fixed. We don't have to fix our kids. There's no detox cure. Please do not put your kids in crazy diets or feed them an insane amount of probiotics or dewormers. I have seen that happen. And the amount of snake oil that gets pushed to parents of autistic children is obscene. There needs to be regulation on this, because I have seen women starve their kids, feed them green juice or whatever to try to fix their autism. No, that is not a thing. Just accept your kid, love them, support them, give them all they need, because society is waking up to this, and they're going to be people like me or other people who are loving and accepting of autistic kids. And yeah, do not fix your kid because your kid's not broken. They're just different.
Yo. Just hearing you say that you looked at your husband and said, if you only gave me your worst, would I still want to be married to you? And the answer is yes. As a dopey, dunderheaded husband who's constantly screwing things up, I sit there, I go, that's beautiful. That's, let alone how you just went to bat for every, not just neurodivergent kid, you just went to bat for any kid who's different in any way and said, hey, parents, stop making it about you. Stop making it about curing kids who don't need cure. They don't need a cure. They need acceptance. You don't need to cure your child into being someone they're not. You need to accept who they are, and that's the starting point of a relationship. I don't know how you're summoning such profound thoughts when you are so exhausted and have every right to also be like, fuck the world. You have every right to be that if you want to be.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I guess we don't choose that, right? I don't know. I feel like for so many other things we just accept ridiculousness, right? When we play a board game, we just accept these are the rules. And that's it. And then we play the game. That's how we need to take everything on life, right? This is how it is. Accept the rules, move forward, right? And things where you can improve the world, if you can help write policy that helps people and you're a politician doing that, fine, do that. But like, there are certain things where you just have to accept and move on because if you waste so much time. And I'm telling you, and I have been in rooms where there are moms just grieving because they've received an autism diagnosis. I get it. Trust me, I was at a point where my kid I didn't even know if he was going to speak, right? And I was scared. I understand the grieving, but the most important thing is that you don't stay there. You have to dust yourself off and then say, okay, how do we build a team? Every autistic child needs a team of therapists, support people. I have my parents that also help me and are amazing. So it's therapists, support people, teachers, everyone. Everyone is in the team and you are all team your child. And, the team child is going to succeed if you're all working together. And that's what it is, and we accept so many things in life, right? We accept that, I don't know, forever we accepted that we had to go work in an office. And then the pandemic came and we're like, hey, we can also work from home. What's going on? But forever we accepted that everyone has to drive downtown to go to work. So why can't you just accept your kid? I don't understand that. I will never understand that.
Brava. What would you it's tough, and I bet it's a day-to-day thing. There must be some days where you wish a doctor could just look at you and go, here's how this ends. And there's some hard truth to it. Maybe your kid is never going to be able to live totally independently, but I'm going to tell you that right now. And we can count on that. They can't really say things like that. Who knows? As you've said, I wonder what you think, because there's a part of me that goes, in some way, it might give you so much peace to go, cool, we can start building an infrastructure for the future if I knew more. In some ways, it would take away hope, and hope is profound. Hope is positive and healing and allows for forward momentum, especially on dark days.
I'm going to be honest with you. If a doctor were to tell me that, I don't know that I would accept it, to be honest with you. At this point, if a doctor were to tell me like, hey, this is your child, I would be like, no, you don't know. Because kids surprise you all the time, It's crazy because now you made me think, like, if a doctor were to tell me, hey, your child's really likely to experience depression and anxiety and all these things, I would have told the doctor he was crazy. That's not going to happen. Because I guess I have like toxic denial. I don't know what to call this, but
no, you're a fucking mom who fights for your family. You're a mom who fights for your pack. That's why.
I guess Yes, yeah, but then it happened, right? Like no one told me, and then it happened, and I just had to be like, all right, how do we handle this? Like this is a new thing. Let's add it onto the pile of things that we're already dealing with, and go. Like it was just I didn't have time to dwell and worry, and yeah, that night it freaked us out. After our son went on that downward spiral, and he was very vocal about it, and but I could tell the difference, right? Like I was on problem solver mode. Like, okay, he's got to go to therapy. He's starting therapy for these other things. Now we're going to address this as the main issue. Da, da, da. And like my husband, on the other hand, he's spiraling, right? He's like, oh my gosh, that was really hard. I never expected to hear a 6-year-old like that. But my mind was already on like, okay, like this is happening. Let's deal with it. Like let's move forward. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're probably a good team, him and I, because he takes a little longer to get there. And like my husband's also neurodivergent. He has ADHD. So like already our whole family is just neurodiverse. Let's just call it that. And it takes him a little longer to process things. So he needed that. He needed to sit and dwell on it for a little bit. And then because I kind of just took the reins and was like, this is what we're doing. This is happening. He was just kind of like, okay. But the main thing that I took away from that moment with him was like, hey, I understand you're dealing with your thing. You have your own feelings with it, but I want you to know that I have no bandwidth to help support you through this. So you need to be really good about your therapy, because I'm not going to be able to be there for you to like say, this is really sad. They're there. Our kid is depressed. Like, I'm not going to deal with your feelings about this, because I can't. I physically can't. I have to deal with our kid, my own feelings about this. And that was good. I mean, it was good because as a family, we realized, okay, everyone's in therapy. I mean, the 3-year-old's not in therapy. Although if he wants to be, I will put him in therapy, because, what's another therapy session that I have to drive him to? It's not a big deal at this point. It's like, who cares?
As a husband, I'm not trying to throw your husband under the bus. What's a moment that comes to mind where you're like, holy shit, that's my partner. I picked the right guy. Look at him stepping up. And also, what's the moment where you're like, this fucking dummy needs to just get out of the way? Because I know there's been both with this man. True or false?
Okay, so the dummy get out of the way moment was, so one of the things that you do with kids is that you get at their eye level and you talk to them through crisis, tantrums, or whatever. My husband refused to do that, like just forever. He was just like talking down to him or holding his hand, whatever. It was like the thing to try to get him to calm down. It would never work. And there was this one time where this thing was happening. It was like a huge moment. And I just like, I lost it. And I just kind of snapped at him and said, like, get down to his level. And like, I don't know what happened that one time that it actually got my husband to do it. And my kid literally like jumped into his arms and just melted. And like the tantrum was over. And in my mind, I was like, I have been validated and redeemed. And yes, this is the moment. And then he turned, like, after this whole thing happened, we had a talk afterwards, and he's like, oh my gosh, that works really well. And I just thought, I'm like, I've been telling you this for months. Like, this is what we do with tantrums. Why haven't you been listening to me? And whatever. And so that was a dummy moment. But then now we have like a tantrum protocol, right? Whether it's the 3-year-old or the 6-year-old or whatever the issue's happening, is like, we realize, okay, time to split. Like, I grab one kid, you grab the other, and then we deal with it as it is, And so that's great. It's great that when this happens now, he just like steps in, grabs the one kid, takes him away, and then we deal with what it is as it is. Now, both kids are very big mama's boys, so a lot of times when this is happening, is he gets the short end of the stick, because the child that is with me kind of just uses me as to soothe down while the other kid is still losing their minds. But he steps up. He always does it. He knows it's like, okay, time to do this. This is what happens. That, and then also dinner. Like, he knows all of our sons' like dinners, how he likes them, whatever he's going to eat. So like, I know when I get home, if I get home late, like at least our son's food will be ready to go, and then we can just move on with our night.
That was a really clear-headed and fair response. And I even like that his dummy moment, you told about one where he had already corrected it and seen the error of his ways before you aired him out. You're a very giving person, good mom, and I feel like I'm sitting here listening to you talk about some very specific circumstances that you deal with, and they're all good reminders to me about how I can be doing better as a parent. So I thank you for that.
Parenting is hard, and I feel like a lot of times we're going to make mistakes, but I think that the difference is, between the way I was parented and the way I'm parenting is that I kind of just admit the mistakes to my kids, Like even now, my mom, when I tell her, I'm like, Mom, do you remember when you did this? She says, no, I never did that. And it's funny, it's silly, and I'm sure all millennials experience the same thing, especially like immigrant families, we had the same kind of parents. But for me, like when my sons, if I lose it, if I ever lose it with them, there's always like repairing right after, or that happens. Or, if I promise something and then I don't keep the promise, like that's also something hard to learn for a person who's autistic, right? Because you're told this is going to happen and then it doesn't happen. And that is, I'm sure that's enraging just in regular life. But like, imagine if you're autistic and it's like you accepted the rules of this condition and now it's not happening. It's probably mind-blowingly mad. And so that happens all the time. And I have to repair it. I have to address it, or if I make something that makes sense, like, hey, if you do this thing, then I'll do that. I realized that having that sort of like transactional parenting with him makes no sense. Like, why would I promise you something that is not connected to something else? Like it makes no sense. Like, why would I say like, well, he doesn't eat candy, but like, why would I say like, I'm going to give you candy if you go to the doctor? Like, no, just go to the doctor because it's good for you. And then it's going to be hard and it's going to be tricky. And, then afterwards, if you want to do something fun, we'll do something fun. Otherwise, we'll just go home and take a break because being around people is too much for you. And I get it.
Where are your South American roots?
Ecuador.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Have you ever been there?
No, I'd love to go. It's always struck me as a pretty rad
I will
place.
make a small pitch.
Yeah, what's the pitch?
Okay, so the best food in South America, hidden secret. People don't know this because it hasn't been, but I feel like the best food in South America, and this is said by my husband, who is not from Ecuador. He is from the Midwest. We've eaten a lot of South American food. He says the best food is Ecuadorian. The chefs, all of the like fancy restaurants, they usually have Ecuadorian cooks in the kitchen. So yeah, best food ever is in Ecuador. And there's also tons of like vegetarian and vegan options because, we're down there. But because there's three areas like climates, there's like the rainforest. So there's like different cuisine there, different things to eat. Then there's the mountains. So it's like more potatoes, there's tons of yummy berries, potatoes, yuca, and like, whatever animal protein you like. If you don't like animal protein, there's tons of vegetables because every vegetable in the world grows in Ecuador because it's the perfect weather for growing anything. And then in the coast, it's like more like plantains, and then there's seafood, but also different kind of proteins that they explode. Yeah, definitely best food. And also Ecuador, you don't have to exchange dollars to go there because that's the currency. It wasn't a great economical decision for the country, but it was made, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, made then. And now when you go as a tourist, you don't have to worry about exchanging your money for anything.
They'll accept American currency.
Great time to visit. Yeah, they use the dollar. They use the US dollar.
I love that we just spent 58 minutes with you just explaining how it's been 6 years in, figuring out a situation with parenting that you never saw coming, but how you also are so devoted to your family, how you're so protective of both of your children, how you're not looking to cure or adjust your son or fall into any quackery. You just want to learn acceptance, and you want to learn communication, and you want to figure out how to be there, and you want to figure out how to build a safety net for all of you, how you need to take care of yourself, how your husband needs to take care of himself, because you are very clear about the bandwidth you have, this level of communication. And also, by the way, check out Ecuador. It's rad. That's an amazing phone call.
It is rad.
Had. That's a great phone call.
I will say it is rad.
Yeah, I would
Ecuador
love to
does not get enough love in the world, and I feel like it should. And it's a great, great country. My grandpa, he was a politician there, and he served his people. I know a lot of Ecuadorian politicians and a lot of South American politicians are corrupt, but my grandpa was the silly one that never did anything. So our family never financially benefited from that because he actually really wanted to serve the people. And so I have a lot of love for that country, and my kids, I will work, make sure they have their citizenship and they do everything, because we want them to also be proud of their Ecuadorian heritage, because it's a great, mighty little country. It's tiny, but we have the Galapagos Islands, and it's amazing.
I also know I did start eating fish on occasion again recently, and I know ceviche is a big deal down there.
Oh my gosh, yes. And Ecuadorian ceviche is different than other ceviche because we make it a little more it's more like a cold soup, a little more liquidy. Uh-huh. And I love it. It's so delicious. And it's so silly because when I grew up, ceviche was kind of like eating a grilled cheese at home. Like, I didn't grow up having grilled cheese and peanut butter sandwiches, which is really funny now that I have a kid, but that's all that he eats. I ate growing up eating like ceviche. Like, that was the snack when you got home, and like rice and eggs, which is like a huge thing in all of South America. And it was just so funny when I told my friends, I would go to like high school or whatever and be like, yeah, we had ceviche like as a snack yesterday. And they'd be like, you what? Because they thought I was like this uppity person. And I'm like, no, I'm not an uppity person. It's just, that's what we eat. It's like normal for us.
I love it. Now listen, our time is up, but we'll have a few more minutes with people as we go behind the paywall. But for now, let's say goodbye to everybody on the free feed.
Goodbye, everyone on the free feed. Sign up for Beautiful Anonymous so you can hear the rest of the call.
Thank you for the plug. That was very well done. Caller, thank you so much for calling. Thank you so much for adjusting your phone. Thank you for being such a strong mom. And thanks for being so honest with me and all of our listeners. Very inspiring. If you want to hear more, go to beautifulanonymous.com. Thank you so much to Andrea Quinn, who produces the show. Thank you to Shellshag for the theme music. punchup.live/Chris Gethard if you want tickets to any of my shows. We got a voicemail line. It's 973-306-4676. We're on Instagram at Beautiful Anonymous Pod. Don't forget to join the Facebook group at Beautiful Anonymous, the community. And once again, if you want the full experience, you're going to want to sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. If you could be a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
There's a tree that I forget what the actual name is, but the nickname is the gum tree. And it has a bark that has a bunch of beautiful colors. And that's why I love it. And I would like to be that tree just because I want to be something unexpected, right? I feel like when someone looks at a tree trunk, they expect just like a brown thing with a bunch of lines on it or whatever. But this is like this fun, like colorful thing. So that's the kind of tree I would like to be.
Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.